Hi story makers, and welcome back to the Puffin Library. It's time for your next Story Makers show with me, Rosie Tells Tales, and some of the most brilliant brains behind your favourite books. Both stories and science help us to understand and change the world. So we are challenging you to become a team of storyologists. Let's transform your classrooms into story-making laboratories. We are going to be exploring colour to find out if you can get rainbows in space, with help from our resident expert, Dr Sheila Kanani. We are going to be doing a draw-along with a difference, dissecting some brilliant brains with comedian and illustrator Henry Paker. And we're going to be investigating the wrong weather with none other than author Lucy Hawking, setting you on a very special story-making mission. As always, all of the games, activities and resources are in your mission packs, downloadable on the Puffin School's website. But first, let's get your brilliant brains into gear. Can you crack the code on this anagram? How did you do? Did you get it? I love spotting rainbows, and we're about to meet Dr. Sheila Kanani, an astrophysicist, planetary scientist, teacher, and author. Sheila has researched the entire rainbow to create a colourful compendium of space and science facts for every colour of the rainbow, and it's beautifully illustrated by Liz Kay. So we have sent Sheila on a mission to tell us her favourite facts about one of the colours of the rainbow. Will it be your favourite colour?
Hi story makers, mission accepted. But first, did you know that colour can affect everything we think about on a daily basis? Even when we're choosing a book, we can be attracted to the cover because of its colour. But what is colour? Colour is how we see light. Light comes to us in two ways, either direct or reflected. Direct light comes to us from things like the sun or something light emitting, like this lamp. Reflected light bounces off something like this desk of books and into our eyes, and our eyes allow us to see different colours. Humans can only see the three primary colours. All the other colours come from mixing those three colours together. Today we're going to focus on the colour green, one of my favourites, and I'm going to tell you some interesting facts about the colour green. Fact 1. We've all been told to eat our greens, but did you know that green, yellow and red peppers are all the same fruit? They've just been picked at a different time. That means that green peppers are the least ripe and red peppers are the most ripe. Fact 2. Most plants have green shoots and leaves. This is because they contain chlorophyll, which helps them get food from the sun. Fact 3. Did you know that frogs have many layers of skin? And if you see them as green or brown, depends on how the light reflects through those layers. This helps the frog hide in its surroundings, and the camouflage helps keep it safe from predators. A clever frog might be able to be bright green on a leaf and then change its colour so that it looks like a muddy brown puddle. That means it can stay hidden from its predators. Imagine being able to disappear. Fact 4. If I ask you to imagine a chameleon, hands up, how many of you think that a chameleon's green? But did you know that they can actually change colour? They don't change colour to hide from a predator like a frog. We now think that they change colour to show off how they're feeling. In a similar process to frogs, chameleons have got layers of skin, and the light can be reflected through the different layers of skin to change the colour of the chameleon. Chameleons can even change the structure of their skin if they want to change colour dramatically. And we think this is what happens when their mood changes. Excited chameleons reflect more red, orange and yellow light, so appear these colours. And relaxed chameleons reflect light at the other end of the spectrum, so appear to be blue or purple. What if your skin changed colour based on how you were feeling?
Can you imagine changing colour based on how you were feeling? This got us thinking, and in your mission packs you've each got your own wheel of feelings. First, label the wheel with some emotions. We've given you a suggestion bank, but we're all unique, so make yours your own. You can choose the colours that you associate with each emotion, or you might want to make your own colour compendiums, researching some facts about the colours and emotions that you might want for your wheel. But wait, we still don't know if you can get rainbows in space. It must be time for your class challenge.
Can you get rainbows in space is full of answers to big questions, like why is the sky blue? Why do leaves turn orange in the autumn? And of course, can you get a rainbow in space? It's all told through the colours of the rainbow and beautifully illustrated by Liz Kay. Your classroom challenge is going to be a test to see if you can make a rainbow in your classroom. I've just made a rainbow out of these books. But if you want to attempt some colourful scientific experiments, here's what you need to know. As white light is made from all the colours of the rainbow added together, in order to get a rainbow in nature, we need to spread the white light out. In nature, when sunlight shines through raindrops, the white light is spread out into the rainbow. And that's why we get a rainbow when it's both sunny and rainy. Whenever you have drops of water and a light source, you can make a rainbow. Or you can use a prism. The prism acts the same way as the water droplets. The sunlight shines through the water droplets, or the prism, and splits the white light into all the colours of the rainbow. Your mission is to make a rainbow in your classroom. You can experiment by placing a tray full of water near a sunny window. Then you place a mirror in the bottom of the tray and see if you can find a reflected rainbow somewhere in your classroom. If you have access to a prism, you can get the same result when light passes through it. To work scientifically, we start with a question. What are we trying to find out? Make a hypothesis. What do we predict will happen? Identify the materials. What do we need for the experiment? Plan the procedure. What steps do we need to follow? Record the results. What happened in the experiment? Make a conclusion. What did we find out, and were our predictions correct? I look forward to seeing your rainbow making experiments. So to answer your question, can we get rainbows in space? The answer is yes. We need a light and a liquid, like sunlight and water. But it doesn't have to be sunlight and it doesn't have to be water. Any light in space and any liquid would form a space rainbow. But if it isn't sunlight and water, it might look slightly different. What do you think a space rainbow would look like?
What do you think a space rainbow would look like? Press pause and tell your talk partner now. If it's possible to get rainbows in space, then we believe that you can make rainbows in your classrooms or even at home. Why not take one of our colourful class challenges? We've given you some ideas and Sheila's top tips in your mission packs. But however you take the challenge, send your pictures to us. Tell your teachers to tweet at Puffin Books or email your pictures to puffinschools@penguinrandomhouse.co.uk. Now remember, all story makers are invited to be in our book club. You can use the Seasons Readings calendar to read along with us every single month. In March, we are reading Laugh Out Loud books, and author Adam Kay and illustrator Henry Paker have teamed up again for an examination of 10 brilliant brains. Okay, story makers, pencils at the ready. Let's get set for a draw along with a difference. Henry,
Rosie.
welcome to the Puffin Library.
Thank you so much for having me. And hello, story makers. I'm Henry Paker. I am the illustrator of this pocket-sized World Book Day book, written by Dr. Adam Kay, who is a long-time collaborator of mine. He writes the words, I draw the pictures. He has the knowledge about medical things and science and facts, and I just get to draw stupid, bug-eyed characters, people farting and falling over, gross animals and infections. It's really, it's a great working relationship we have.
Sounds to me like you have the better of the two jobs.
He does the serious stuff and I do the fun stuff, and I want to keep it that way. And the other amazing thing about this book is that once you've read it, you become a fully qualified medical doctor, allowed to conduct medical experiments in this country or abroad with your family, friends, enemies, and pets.
Henry,
It's really worth it.
is that true?
Rosie, that wasn't true, that was poo. I just said it because I thought it would be funny, I'm sorry.
Well, talking of funny, shall we play the Brilliant Brains game?
Yes, please. To play along with the Brilliant Brains game, you need a draw-along sheet or blank piece of paper, a pencil, and a brain, preferably your own. Let's spin the colour wheel to see which brilliant brain we're going to be examining first. Who said this clever catchphrase? If you can't explain something simply enough, you don't understand it. A. Adam's Aunt Prunella. B. Willy Wonka. C. Albert Einstein. Well, it definitely could be A. Adam's Aunt Prunella. That's the kind of thing she'd say. She's a very cruel woman, so that's an option. B. Willy Wonka, the famous confectionery manufacturer. C. Albert Einstein. You know what? On reflection, I reckon it's C. Albert Einstein. Time for true or poo. A. Albert Einstein had a massive brain. B. Albert Einstein proved that the speed of light is the fastest possible speed. C. Albert Einstein spotted that there are things in space called black holes, huge great circles that have so much gravity inside that no light can escape from them. Einstein actually had a smaller than average brain. Did you know that smaller brains are often cleverer? So my brain must be minuscule. Einstein's brain was a bit different. His brain had an extra thing in it called a thingamajiggle, I think. I can't remember. To be honest, it's Dr. Adam who actually knows stuff, and I just draw the silly pictures. He explains all about it in the book. Okay, so this is how you draw Albert Einstein as a brain. Start with two big googly eyes. That's basically how I start drawing everything. Because it's Albert Einstein, he's going to have a big moustache. Big moustache, big sort of furry eyebrows to make him look wise, and slightly unkempt, all over the place hair. Because he's a brain, he's going to have this kind of squishy, kind of strange, lumpy sort of body. I give him a smile here. Okay. A couple of legs on him. Again, I don't know the exact science of this. Adam's the expert, Adam Kay, the writer, but I think that brains have small legs underneath them. Because it's Albert Einstein, it's always depicted with a piece of chalk in front of a chalkboard. One of the things I find fun about drawing Albert Einstein is, or any scientist is, you always have to draw them in front of a chalkboard doing really complicated equations. But what happens is, what I've noticed is no one ever checks the equations. So you can just write whatever you want. I'm going to write x plus, 44 equals 9. I can do that. I'm going to write here 5 plus lemon equals 3 sausages. There you go. And that is how you draw Albert Einstein as a brain. Are you ready for your second brilliant brain? Let's spin the virtual wheel. Who said this clever catchphrase? Our house is on fire. Was it A, Tom Fletcher, B, Greta Thunberg, or C, Pippin, Adam's dog? Definitely could be Tom Fletcher from the band MC Fly, one of my favourite bands. Sounds like a kind of song he might write. Pippin, Adam's dog. I don't think it's the kind of thing Pippin would say because Pippin's a dog, so she mainly expresses herself through barking and farting. So I reckon it's B, Greta Thunberg. True or poo? Greta Thunberg. A. Greta Thunberg started to change the world when she was only 15, beginning by sitting outside Sweden's parliament with her sign that said, "School strike for climate." B. Greta Thunberg, when invited to speak at the United Nations, travelled for 2 weeks by a special yacht to avoid harm to the planet. During the journey, she was celebrated by a penguin and a walrus. C. There is a type of tiger named after Greta. There is actually an animal named after Greta, but it's not a tiger, it's a type of beetle named Neloptodes gretae, I think, because of her incredible contribution to saving the planet and because its antennae kind of look a bit like the pigtails in her hair. Talking of pigtails, it's time to transform a brain into the brilliant brain of Greta Thunberg. So, as usual, I'll start with my silly, googly eyes. That's how I like to work. I'm going to give her a nice big grin. So Greta Thunberg, I'm going to focus on her her trademark pigtails. One hanging down here. Again, the lumpy brain flesh like this, and she's looking very cheerful. And as we know, brains have little legs. She's standing on a boat because Greta Thunberg likes to travel around by boat. So I'm going to put her on a boat. She's waving. There's the sea. Going to put the other little pigtail hanging on the back of her brain. There, some waves, and in the distance we'll have an iceberg with a penguin on it. Penguins, of course, huge fans of Greta Thunberg. They love what she's doing, because they, of course, live on icebergs, and it's very, very important to them that climate change is dealt with. So this penguin is waving, like most penguins. Penguins is friends with a walrus. Penguin and walrus communities are, of course, very close-knit. The walrus wearing a party hat, so and they are celebrating Greta Thunberg as she travels across the sea. And that is how you draw Greta Thunberg as a brain. Okay, so now it's your turn to draw your very own brilliant brain. There are 8 other brilliant brain characters in the book for you to choose from, so pick your favourite, and just like I did, you draw it in this box. And you write the name of the brain at the top, then you draw your picture using the knowledge and wisdom you've learned. I've given you real insider tips, by the way, from the illustration sort of industry. For example, the thing about starting with the googly eyes, I'm not supposed to tell anyone that, because that's like 90% of illustrating. But anyway, you do all that, then you write their clever catchphrase at the bottom, and then you're done. Fantastic. Can't wait to see them. Bye.
We want to put your brilliant brains to good use right away. Taking inspiration from Henry, we want you to come up with your own clever catchphrases and cartoons to change the world. You can use your postcard templates in your mission packs. And why not send your postcards to us? You can read all about Greta Thunberg in our Extraordinary Lives series, or how Katherine Johnson used maths to help humans land on the moon, or even how scientist Stephen Hawking lived a life of determination to find the answers to life's big questions. we couldn't talk about science and storytelling without talking to our next guest. Lucy Hawking writes fantasy adventure books that are packed with some mind-blowing and very real science. From her first series that she co-wrote with her father, Professor Stephen Hawking, that follows George as he travels around the universe finding scientific solutions to difficult dilemmas. And now, in her latest series, to investigating what happens when the weather goes wrong with Princess Olivia Investigates. By the power of technology, let's call Lucy at her writing desk for a chat. Hi Lucy, do you have a cup of tea? I loved reading Princess Olivia Investigates, but I don't think that Olivia would be very happy with me if I went and filed this with the rest of our princess books, do you? Because this was not a princess book at all.
Thanks, Rosie. And no, Princess Olivia would not be happy with you if you put her down under P for princess, because she wants to be under S for scientist. Now, this is a very different kind of princess story. Most stories about princesses start with somebody who seems to be ordinary, who then finds out that in fact they're a princess. Whereas Princess Olivia is a princess at the beginning of the book, and she definitely does not want to be one. She thinks it's really boring and she has to do stupid things like wear a tiara and learn about old-fashioned table manners. And what she wants to do is get out of the royal palace and get into the real world so she can learn about what's really going on in her kingdom beyond the walls of her palace.
And all that changed quite unexpectedly one day. Can you tell us all what happened in Alès?
Right, so Alès is the kingdom which is ruled by Olivia's mum and dad, King Ptolemy and Queen Paragona. And they're very sweet parents, but they're not a very good king and queen. They really are lost in an old-fashioned world. They don't know anything about the modern world. And Olivia knows this about her parents and tries to wake them up to it, but there's nothing she can do. But one day, a group of people storm into the royal palace and they tell Olivia's parents that it's time for them to leave, that they've decided, the country's decided it doesn't want a king and queen and a royal family any longer. They're going to have an elected government. And so the royal family are shown out of the gates, where they have to get a bus down to the capital city at the port side to become ordinary citizens. Now, of course, this is a huge shock because the king and queen have never done anything ordinary in their whole lives. They've never got on a bus. Olivia's mum has never so much boiled a kettle, and yet suddenly off they are, sent out into their new lives. Now, when I was doing a lot of work with primary school kids around Princess Olivia and around this idea of very sudden change, of course, we all have this relationship with sudden change at the moment because we had the experience of the pandemic. So while of course we haven't been princesses living in a mountaintop palace being thrown out by a new government, we do have that experience of what it's like to have your life change suddenly and completely with no warning, and for everything that you thought was going to happen be taken away and replaced by another reality. And that's part of what Princess Olivia is about.
That's so true. And I thought that Olivia coped really well with all the changes away from royal life, but she's also observing some quite concerning changes in the environment, isn't she?
That's right. You see, Olivia has always wanted to go to school. That's her biggest wish, is that she should be allowed to learn. And so, of course, when they're thrown out of the palace, she realises she's going to be able to go to school because she's going to be an ordinary kid. And this is great for her. But when she leaves the palace walls, something really even more unexpected happens for her, is she realises her kingdom is not the way she thought it was. So Olivia had spent all her time in the royal palace reading every book that she could to try and teach herself about every subject that was available to her. And one of the things she did, she loved the old maps and the pictures of her kingdom that she was never allowed to go and see. And it looks like this beautiful natural paradise, you know, with rushing streams, dark forests and clear lakes and snowy mountains and lots of lovely natural habitats for humans and animals to enjoy together. But when she gets out of the gates, it's a very different world. Something has gone very, very wrong. And she sees this the minute they leave in the bus. They're going down on this old bus to the capital city on this windy road, and she sees that the trees are all dropping their leaves, and they shouldn't be. It's the wrong time of year. And she sees a puddle, and instead of being clear water, the puddle's got a sort of rainbow sheen on it, which she knows is not good and not healthy, because that's what oil looks like when it floats on water. And when she starts her new life, she starts looking around her and seeing that there are so many changes. The weather seems to be completely out of control. No one can predict it. One day it will have hailstorms, rushing winds and floods, and the next day it will be boiling hot. And she starts to say, something has gone wrong. I need to work out what this is. So she starts to record her observations in a notebook.
I loved that. What I thought was really clever was that it was the children that noticed all of these changes. The adults seemed completely oblivious.
The adults have got no idea. Olivia's sweet mum and dad were living in their mountaintop palace. They were just really obsessed with crowns and being royal and everyone using the right protocol and the right manners. And the government was really busy trying to make money secretly without telling the people. And the teachers at school aren't really allowed to talk to the kids about the changes they see. Even the science teacher has been told she mustn't say anything about these big changes. But the kids know because they can see it. And Olivia, even more than the other kids, is even more aware because she had access to the Royal Library. So she could see all the pictures and the photographs of Alice as it used to be. And she can see that that's not the way it is now. So she's able to note that there's been this massive change. And she gets together with her two new best friends, Ravi and Helga, who are both really great, exciting, funny characters. And they form a society of science investigators. They decide to use science to investigate what's gone wrong with the world around them.
And Lucy, all of your books are witty and wild adventure stories, but they're also packed with astonishing science. What inspires you to mix fictional stories and scientific facts?
Thank you. It's been such a great journey. It's been a great cosmic journey for me, but it all started at my son William's birthday party. So one of my son's little friends went up to my father, who you can see in this lovely black and white photograph behind me, Stephen Hawking, who's a great scientist. He spent a whole career thinking about what happens inside black holes and how did the universe begin. So a little boy went up to my dad and said, Stephen, what would happen to me if I fell in a black hole? And my father said, you would be turned into spaghetti. Now, this is a really clever answer because scientifically that's accurate. If you fell in a black hole, the incredibly strong forces of gravity would shred you into spaghetti pretty much straight away. But also, it was clever because we all know what spaghetti is. So even though we're talking about something so vast, so complicated, so far away, so exotic, like a black hole, still, calling it spaghetti allows us all a way to understand it. So I thought, well, this is a great story. What would happen to me? It's a question and it's a story. So I thought, let's write a story for this young boy, my son, and all the other kids out there about what would happen if you fell in a black hole. And so that was the beginning of George's Secret Key to the Universe.
I love hearing how the seed of a story can start with something like that. And it just shows you the power of daring to ask a question.
Well, it really does, because my father was a very important, very famous scientist, but this kid, this young person, just went up to him and asked a question. And my father said, what a brilliant question. I'm going to give you an answer. So if you have a question, you must ask it. It doesn't matter if you think, oh, I wonder if they'll think I'm silly, or I wonder if they think I should know the answer. Don't worry, ask the question. Really, really important, because that's what scientists do. They ask questions. My father started his career by asking himself, what would happen if I fell in a black hole? I start my books with a question. My next book, called Princess Olivia Investigates the Sea of Plastic, started out with a question about the oceans. So always ask, because you never know where the answer might lead.
Let's all put our hands up a little bit more when we have a question. You never know. It could be the seed of a story, the start of a scientific discovery, or maybe a word like spaghettification can be born out of a question just like that. Thanks so much, Lucy.
Thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for zooming in to my writing day and giving me a little fun break so I can chat to you.
And just like Lucy, we need you to use the power of science and storytelling. Think of a question that gets you really curious. That's going to be your big question. And then do some scientific research, creating a fact file to help plan your story. You're going to be writing your own science stories to inspire your readers to change the world.
Include vivid descriptions of colour to celebrate the beauty of our planet. You can even use colour to describe the emotions that your characters are feeling.
Make your story memorable by remembering to include funny cartoons with googly eyes and clever catchphrases.
My top tip is to include some real facts in your story, some real astonishing, incredible facts that will make people go, wow, I didn't know that. And have a hopeful message. Write your story in such a way that it brings optimism to your readers. It's really important because the world is a wonderful place and we want to keep it this way so that we all get to enjoy living in it.
Thanks to all our amazing guests today. Thank you, Dr. Sheila Kanani, Henry Paker, and Lucy Hawking. From all of us at Puffin, we are excited to read your stories and see your completed missions. We're going to be back soon with a very special summer holiday challenge for you all. But for now, it's over to you, story makers. Put those brilliant brains into action. And you never know, maybe you could change the entire world.